Warning.
Watch very closely now. 3, 2, 1. Bzow! Check that out.
The following podcast features terrible jokes.
You know you can use Hot Wheels cars when you need to make a saving throw in D&D? Every car is die-cast.
Usually about board games.
We want the fun. Gotta have that fun.
Must insist that no one attempt to recreate any joke performed on this podcast.
We had less technical issues than $1 million company.
All right!
This is Boards and Swords.
Hello out there, everyone. Welcome to Boards and Swords. This is a podcast in case you suddenly got teleported to the year 2024 and didn't know what you're looking at right now. But this is a podcast where we talk bad jokes, we talk good folks, and some tabletop games. The only go folks here today is me and my trusty friend, Mr. Philip Herbig over there.
What's going on, everybody? Woo!
How are you doing today?
Chris is back from Gen Con.
Woo! The generational convention.
The generational convention.
The convention for every generation. No, not really. Yeah. So yeah, just came back from Gen Con. Literally, it's been a week since I've been back from Indy. Kind of wild to think about that, but yeah. So got a lot to talk about. This is going to be one of those episodes that was that's going to be Chris talking about stuff, and Philip's going to kind of like nod and occasionally say stuff. But you get what you get. It's Gen Con. No one will return emails right now anyways because everyone's got COVID from Gen Con. Did you see that? Like, there's so many posts about...
There's so many posts on Facebook.
Yeah.
There were...
Half of our group got COVID.
Half of our group, yeah. I was like, there's stuff in our Slack. Like,
yeah. So
I kept my happy ass at home.
That's what happens when you have 71,000 people as COVID is spiking nationwide.
Yeah.
But first, see, I'm read through the apparently one of the people that worked on the live builds for Snapships worked on X-Wing. Did a third-party work for X-Wing. Hi, bud.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, we'll get to that, but first we got some news.
News!
All right. Hey, Philip, they should make a version of HeroQuest with pigs as the heroes. That way, when someone says, what's the best thing about HeroQuest, you could say, Boar HeroQuest. I got a chuckle.
That was somebody mark down the date and time. That one was actually good.
I try.
It's the law of large numbers. You got to get one
eventually. Everybody gets one. And meanwhile, I'm reading the history of Snapships in the chat over here. So if you're curious about the history of Snapships, just go to the YouTube post for this and click the live view for the chat. So when I originally saw this article, it made me think that this was like a new expansion, but I believe this is just a reprint of the extra, or like this was an expansion before and they're just reprinting it and maybe adding some new stuff. But HeroQuest becomes a PvP battle arena or arena battler with Against the Ogre Horde quest pack. So, you know what's the best thing about HeroQuest? The HeroQuest expansions, which you should immediately throw away, because the only way to expand HeroQuest is with more HeroQuest. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of new stuff and all the little tiny furniture.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so it's a remastering of the original 1991. Where was it? There was something talking about the. Look at the muscularity. Ogre Warriors and Ogre Commander, Ogre Lord, Druid Heroes, and more. Here we go. Brand new rules for player versus player arena battles. Compete against other players to prove your merit in World's End tournament battles where the team left standing wins. The quest pack includes a new game board specifically designed for the arena battles. So if you've ever played HeroQuest in the past, you'll have to let us know in the comments. Did it have this before, or is this something new that they're adding into this quest pack? Because I was not on board that chain. But these models actually look really good.
Yeah. Looking like the Ogre King and a
Yeah.
couple champions in the background there. Yeah, man.
I hadn't paid too much attention to the repacking of HeroQuest just because it's expensive and I already have a lot of stuff. But all right, moving on. I thought I got selected to be a NASA astronaut once. Once I got to the doctors for my checkup, I realized that's not what my wife meant when she said I had a colonizing appointment. So, Power Grid is getting a new expansion, or it's actually a new board game. Yeah, it's not an expansion. It's a standalone board game in the Power Grid universe called Outpost, where you take to the skies and under a new planet where colonization is underway. There's a huge demand for electricity there, of which companies will attempt to provide supply for. They will need to buy the best power plants, biggest shelters, and best technologies to try and spread their networks from city to city. In the meantime, they need to mind their workers and keep the labor costs under control. So it sounds like it's not exactly the original Power Grid, which I don't think you ever played, Philip, but it was kind of like it looked like Ticket to Ride, except for you were trying to do like at a board of the U.S. and there was kind of like routes you were building, but you were building routes between power plants, and then there was like fate where like you had so many power plants, and then you had to power those power plants with different things. So like coal was cheapest, but it produced a lot of pollution, and it wasn't very efficient. Where if you had like the solar power, you didn't have to power because it just powered itself. But it was also the most expensive. It was really cool. It was a cool game. It's a nice one of those like beginner, like I've played. It's like that. It's like the next step Euro, where it's like I've played Catan and I want to try something a little meatier. Like Power Grid's a good step up from that. So it sounds like this is a little bit different because there's some workers and stuff that I don't remember that being in the original game. Fracking in space.
Rusty Beetle, are you drilling for oil fracking or Farscape fracking?
You mean
which one are we doing there?
You mean Battlestar Galactica?
Sorry, Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, Market,
Farscape
time and date.
Frilling.
Time and date. That I got
That's
a
right.
battle that
Philip screwed up a
Philip
reference.
screwed up a BSG reference and I had to correct him. This is just one for the record books, folks.
That's right, man. All right.
Looks like this, getting back to the Power Grid Outpost, plays 45 to 90 minutes and retails for $75, which that doesn't surprise me because that game's probably got like a lot of stuff. Because that's one of those games that's got like meeples for everything. I'm sorry, can I say meeple?
Yeah, is that
like?
Do we owe someone $1 now?
Well, you heard about that, right? Like the company that's like trying to boycott or trying to copyright the term meeple.
I assumed it already was.
No, so the people that own Carcassonne are trying to copyright the term meeple when they didn't even come up with it. It was somebody else coming up just talking about their game. Like in the original books, it was just called Followers.
Oh yeah.
But they've gotten like they've been going to like different countries trying to get it copyrighted, and it's ridiculous.
Okay. So we just won't broadcast in those companies, in those countries.
Yeah,
Boom.
exactly.
Problem solved.
But yeah, and they've been sending like cease and desist to people that have Meeple in their name, like Meeple Source. Phil, it was a news story on this show.
First off,
I had forgotten that we had covered it on the show.
was I here?
You know, you should have been. It was This would have been in the past couple episodes. Phil's gonna look it up now.
Pull my keyboard back out.
He's gonna go into the show notes. All right. I'm gonna move on now. a lot of people, we talked about this earlier, a lot of people got sick from going to Gen Con. Whoever was sick originally and went to Gen Con, you should get a press badge next year because you're a real influencer. So, this is a stretch, but I didn't know how else to connect it. I saw this Kickstarter last year. Didn't really think too much because I've only played Dungeon Crawl Classics once. But now that I've gotten you to play it, I kind of want to try. I may try and pick up this game. It's called X Crawl Classics. So they had Dungeon Crawl Classics, and then they had Mutant Crawl Classics, which is kind of like more fantasy kind of or like think Fallout.
No, that's Mutant Chronicles. Sorry. I'm looking over at my shelf. I see the word mutant. And I was like, no, that's not Mutant Crawl Classics. That's Mutant Chronicles.
The Mutant Chronicles Mutant Crawl Classics was kind of like think more Fallout, dystopian kind of thing. And then they now have X Crawl Classics, which I was like, okay, whatever. I thought maybe it was like a superhero thing or something. But I got to see this like so it's hitting pre-order. They had it at Gen Con. That's how I got to see it. Listen to this description. In X-Crawl, players take on the roles of brave professional adventurers engaging in a live, on pay-per-view death sport, the Extreme Dungeon Crawl League. The Dungeon Judge, or DJ, builds up an artificial dungeon that is a lethal maze with traps, secret doors, monsters, and treasures and prizes. The adventurers then try to navigate the dungeon as while the citizens of the North American Empire tunes in every week to see who makes it out alive. So, like, it's like blood sport D&D.
Yeah.
But you're role playing that. So like you get benefits for like hyping up the crowd and things like that.
Nice.
So, but I believe it's based on like the Dungeon Crawl Classics system. It just adds in extra stuff to kind of fit that theme. So, this will retail for $59.99, but I mean like if it was like the same size as the Dungeon Crawl Classics book, and it's a pretty meaty book.
Mm-hmm. That's what it looks like, yeah.
I played in an X-Crawl game in D&D 3.0. I was a sumo wrestler bard that was the cheerleader and comic relief for our group. I had flags on my backpack with our sponsor's logo. So yeah, that's the style game we're talking about here.
Okay.
I like that it was a sumo wrestler bard. So, yeah.
Sumo wrestler bard.
That's like the jolly.
Did you have a ukulele?
But yeah, so you can go on to Goodman Games website now, and if this sounds interesting to you at all, you can go try pre-order X Crawl Classics. I'm gonna apologize. I'm mumbling a lot today. I noticed that when I was at work, I just couldn't like do a sentence.
Speaking.
Yeah, speaking are hard. Oh my gosh, they raised $236,000, which equated out to about $148 per backer. So they got like whatever the retail price, they almost got double.
Yeah,
per person. Awesome. So yeah, but yeah, they had this at Gen Con. I probably should have looked into it a little bit more. But speaking of more Gen Con news, I had an idea for a Ninja Turtles podcast. We talk about the different cartoons and the movies over the years, plus what's going on nowadays. Perfect title. It'd be called "What's the TMNT?" So they announced Restoration Games announced Unmatched Adventures TMNTs heading to Kickstarter later this year. So Unmatched is a game system that the restoration. Yes, I hear you, but this is not playtime. He's over here swatting at me.
It's playtime now, motherfucker.
Yeah. So Restoration Games had the game called Unmatched, and it started off with a lot of like public domain characters, like fairy tale characters and stuff. And the idea was that it was a card-based battling game where each character had a mini, and there was different spots on the board. It had a board, and you would play cards to kind of move your character and to attack the other player, that sort of thing. It's actually a remake of, I don't know if you ever played Star Wars Epic Duels.
Did we play that?
I don't think we've played it. I have not played this.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't know it would have been in like, because this came, I think this was in like stores and stuff you could get.
Gotcha.
Like it was by, I think it was done by Hasbro originally. But they took the system and remade it, and now it's Unmatched. And they've since had like a whole bunch of expansions for it. Like there's Marvel expansions, there's a Deadpool one. I'm trying to think. There's like and they have them in like themes. Like there's a Shakespeare pack that's got like, I think Shakespeare is a character versus like his characters. Trying to think. There was like a Buffy pack, I think. But now they've got Unmatched Adventures, which is the co-op, because everything's got to have a co-op version now.
Yep.
So now you can play that same kind of gameplay against a co-op thing where, you know, it's you and another player versus some enemy threat. And the other one, I think the first one was called Unmatched Adventures, like Tales to a Maze, which I think was basically like, here's all the enemies for use whatever other Unmatched set to play against all this. But this is going to be, I believe, this is a standalone box. So the Unmatched line of games continues on with the new Unmatched Adventures game, starring the pizza-loving, foot soldier-stomping turtles. Players can take on the roles of Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo as they cooperatively attempt to take down classic TMNT villains Shredder and Krang. This game is for 1 to 4 players, ages 9 and up, and plays into 20 into 40 minutes. Yeah, that's supposed to be like a really quick game to play too. So it's gonna Kickstarter, and it's gonna kickstart in September of this year, and slated to hit streets in 2025. So probably Gen Con next year. Yeah. So here you guys can see the game there. Looks really nice. Yeah.
So we're going for one of the gritty versions.
Yeah.
Because they don't have pupils.
Yeah. And like here you can see one of the sculpts of, I'm assuming Michelangelo, since it's got the
the skateboard.
Yeah.
The nunchuck and his tongue out.
Yeah. By the way, have you seen them talking about like how perfect the weapons are for the different characters? Where they're talking about like, okay, so you've got Michelangelo, who's the party dude, where he got given
the philosophy behind the weapons.
Where it's like he got given the nunchucks, which requires the most focus and skill. And then you got Donatello,
the tech nerd.
The tech nerd gets a stick. And you know, like
Raphael's the hothead, but he gets the size, which are defensive weapons.
And then Leonardo's the leader, and he's the only one that gets given a blade or a weapon that can kill.
Yeah. Because unfortunately, sometimes you gotta
And also, I think so. They're talking about in the chat. Rusty Beetle has Unmatched Buffy. Pretty simple game, quick and a good filler. I believe there is also and the camera went dead. I believe there's also a digital version. I have not tried that. I probably should. I think it's on my Steam wish list. Either that or it's in my Steam library, and I just have never played it.
That's
one of the two. I know it's on one of my Steams.
And to be fair, we're not dissing a good stick. It was the philosophy behind.
Yeah.
You give the tech nerd the simplest weapon.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Last bit of news here. I tried to open a D&D themed fast food restaurant. It ultimately didn't work out. Every time somebody ordered the burger, they asked if it came with piezo. It's like, how many jokes can I make off the name Paizo?
Right.
So the Diana Jones Award was announced, and it was the union, the Paizo union that they formed earlier in the year, United Paizo Workers. I don't know if you remember this. We did a story where it was talking about how terrible the working conditions were at Paizo, where like the carpets hadn't been cleaned in like months.
I do remember that story. Yeah.
And then it was like a few months later that after it got published about how terrible it was, they formed a union, and so the Diana Jones Committee announced the winner of the award. It's all about like excellence in gaming. So sometimes it's like arbitrary concepts. Like I think Actual Play won like a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
So because like you don't get your own award, the award just kind of gets passed around because it's a stand up. For those that don't know, Diana Jones Award started because it's short for Indiana Jones, because it's literally like a copy of the very old Indiana Jones Award, where like it had been partially destroyed in a fire, so that only Diana Jones was listed on there, and they like encased it in like resin or something, and they made it into an award because like you can't get a copy of that RPG anymore, really. So, hey Darren, how's it going? But yes, Unmatched is on Steam.
What's up, Darren?
Rustin Beetle cooperates.
Ah.
So, but yeah, Philip.
Yo.
How's life going? How about that Patreon?
Patreon.com/boardandswords, boardandswords.com/Patreon. That's gonna get you where you need to go, folks. We got a lot of good stuff over there. All right. There are moments. There are moments before and after the show that y'all don't see. They're there on Patreon. There's a lot of good stuff in there, a lot of embarrassing stuff in there. You get to laugh at us. It's great. We already laugh at ourselves.
That's kind of what we do it for.
That's exactly. Higher every tier, you get access to the Discord channel. It's got good stuff in there. We got a great community. Higher tiers, we got dice we send out. We got dad jokes about your favorite board games. There. What else is there, Chris?
There's a T-shirt if you get the highest option. You can get T-shirts.
What's that?
You can get T-shirts at the highest option. But
see, I was about to say that there's a T-shirt and like force you to, but apparently there's T-shirts.
Yeah, already there.
T-shirts are already there, guys. So I got to do something else that'll really weird Chris out. The highest tier, there's only one. You get a date with Chris at Gen Con.
Beetle got that position last year.
See, there you go. Beetle was a good date. Is Chris a?
Now he paid.
Oh, he paid. Oh, okay, good.
Chris
is
I've got
gentle and thorough. Never mind.
I've got a shut up. I've got a new idea that I want to flesh out. So I've been doing a lot of biking recently. You would know this if you listen to the bonus bits. But I've been doing a lot because you're biking. That's when like your brain's not thinking about work or anything, and so just ideas start popping. Oh Jesus! Rusty Beetle called it a meetup, MEAT, because we went to Fogo de Chao.
Oh yes.
But every now and then I get random thoughts because I'm the kind of person like it's one of those like, hey, you can turn anything into an RPG encounter. Like I had to submit a article. I wanted to get on some random website as like someone that would publish like blog posts for them, and they like send us a sample of something. And so I sent them a sample of like a blog post talking about how you could turn Gundam Wing into an RPG, like a D&D RPG, where it's like there's this mainland and there's 5 islands and like there's like turn it into a fantasy setting but using the plot line of Gundam Wing. And so like I don't know how I came about this, but I was on the bike and I had the idea of like, what would be funny is if you turned Mambo number 5 into an RPG adventure with like all the different girls being named as different monsters.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, I just need to, and also when I was at Gen Con, this is relating it back, I saw so many like random people with just D&D 5e adventures. Like they've got the GUI cube. They're one of the random like we sell 5e accessories, and they have like map books and stuff you can flip through. But they have a set of adventures where it's like adventures at GenzaCon, and I guess related somewhat. I didn't look at it, but and I'm just like, if they can do that, like I could do this. Like I could write random D&D adventures, so I might start trying and doing that as like a once off every quarter or something. Put out. I don't know. It's not going to be like have fancy artwork because I can't pay for that. So I think it'll be like stick figure. It'll be like the XKCD route of stick figures.
Here, I've got a free idea for a random encounter.
Yeah.
It's a 4-way stop, and everyone pulls up at the same time. Roll initiative.
So whenever I have random off ideas, I might just start writing them down. I've still been writing and working on the pundits, my version of Tyranny of Dragons. But I'm at the part where I need more names for things, so I have to kind of like let them fester in the back of my mind and come up with puns, and then just write puns down whenever I think about it, and then later assign them to different things. So
get you a voice recorder.
Yeah, no, I have just a really long note in my phone of like any idea I ever come across or like anything I need to remember. It's like basically like the equivalent of when you have like you've seen the movies where like sticky notes are all over the monitor. I have one note that basically does all of that. So, but yeah, that'll go out to patrons, and then maybe down the line, if I somehow publish them, like the patrons will get it for free. Like, if I eventually publish them on like, Drive Through RPG or something, patrons will get like a code for it or something.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Someday when I can convince somebody to draw something for me, a little bit of skeleton by my side.
Oh.
But I was thinking, like, what is it? What is it? Like a little bit of Mary all night long. So, okay, Mary's a vampire.
There you go. A little bit of Jessica, here I am.
So Jessica's a shapeshifter.
There we go.
See, that's what I'm talking about. All right. With that, yeah, let's talk some Gen Con. You ready to talk some Gen Con, Philip? You ready to be jealous?
Can I be jealous in 5 minutes?
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Restroom break?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Bathroom. Ma, bathroom.
Don't you go beforehand?
Hush. I do, but hush.
That's what Philip's old man colon's kicking in. Doesn't think about. All right. So, anybody got any questions they want me to answer about Gen Con while waiting for Philip to get back? Play Lancer instead. I've heard about that. I also have. I don't think I have it here. I have there's an RPG I backed and I finally got. I backed it in like 2020, and it just got delayed because of all the publishing and stuff. But I finally got it like last year. What was that called? Beam Saber. It's called Beam Saber. It's a Forged in the Dark version of like a Gundam Wing style game where you're playing as mech pilots or Gundams or whatever, but using Blades in the Dark, Forged in the Dark rules. Fetch a battle. Yeah, Philip needs a stadium pal. Yeah, I was showing off. I got the Necromunda Hive Secundus back here. I got to spend the next like 2 weeks though. This may not even get built for a couple weeks because I got to get prepped for Nova. I got to finish getting my my Horus Heresy army painted up so that I can play in the one. I'm only playing in one mega battle at Nova, but all my stuff is still like half painted. So I need to get that finished up. And then finally I'll be able to play Heresy on a more regular basis because I won't have the excuse that it's not painted. First I need to finish Kill Team. What have I not finished on Kill Team? I have the terrain, the top half or bottom half. Oh, they're all base coated, and I need to finish the details. That's what it is. Like everything's primed and base coated, but I got like 4 tanks I need to finish working on. Are you talking about the Kill Team terrain, the boarding actions terrain? I still do have that to paint, or not paint, finish putting assembling and stuff. Have I? Oh no, I have not. I never did play Kill Team with Phil because Phil never has time for me. That's what it is. Phil's too busy. So unless I'm playing Destiny 2, Philip doesn't have time for me. I'm hoping I can get him to play Necromunda. Even though this is like a 1 versus 1, I'm gonna kind of run it as like a co-op sort of game, where like one of us plays the Tech Hunters and one of us plays the Spire Hunters, and then we'll kind of like AI play the Gene Stealers malformed. Play in the back of a U-Haul. Yeah, but see, the problem is Philip's U-Haul that he works at is like an hour and a half away. So I'd have to go on my day off and drive up an hour and a half, which, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. And go to a game store. I'll rent a U-Box, and then we'll just play it in there. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's an hour and a half. I think it's like an hour and 15. We can ask him when he gets back, but it's something like that. Trying to see other non-Gen Con related stuff that's back here that I can talk about. Let's see. Ooh, hold on. I was talking about if I can get this out. I was talking about the Patreon adventure that I've been working on. So like I've got. Oh, let me get the full view here. Like this is the map that I drew for it. Let's see if I can get it in focus. I have been using this book. I've been using this book that's like how to draw fantasy maps. And so I am very impressed with myself on how this looks. I think it looks quite nice. So using one of the, I got myself one of the Beadle and Grimm's Game Master journals, and so I've got all sorts of like notes and stuff in here for it. But like I don't consider myself a big drawing person, but yeah, this book is like how to draw fantasy maps and D&D maps. What Patreon tiers does that apply to? I don't know. Like I said, this is all kind of like me still coming up with ideas. So, yeah, I don't know because I'm probably going to use patrons as my victims. I mean, test subjects for the Tyranny of Dragons game, so that might be anybody at any level, but I may have to restrict the adventure ones. I don't know yet. Maybe like it might be something like when I put them out with my hand drawings, it might be like the $1 everybody gets it. But maybe if I ever somehow published it and then like I would do like the full codes maybe to like the 5 tier. Again, I'm just kind of speaking there. Will I be running a Cats in the Dark? That's still on the back burner. It kind of fizzled out because I wasn't playing RPGs and I just didn't have the motivation. But it's something that's still in the back burner. I kind of want to do some of this, get my feet wet with like writing stuff for D&D and like putting my name out there for that, and then eventually building up, then like getting people interested in a Cats in the Dark game. I still also have to come up with a better name for it that doesn't spell out tits. I was thinking something like Outpaws instead of Outlaw. I was also trying to think of a pun. Go figure. Like Outpaws instead of Outlaws. Or something like Paws and Outlaws, something like that. So that is still in the back. But the other fact of the matter is because most of the people around here don't play Blades in the Dark, so it's hard to get those kind of things tested. For whatever reason, Philip doesn't like Blades in the Dark, and a lot of other people, they usually either prefer Star Wars or D&D. Or like one-off or random one-off narrative games. What else I got? Philip, I feel like this has been more than 5 minutes here. Looking to see if you test on Discord. That's true. I feel like that was more than 5 minutes, sir. Me just here floundering. By the way, Rusty Beetle says we need to play games in the back of U-Haul so you can call it work. Because he was saying that I never got you playing Kill Team. Because like the half of the box that you painted.
Right.
Which they don't even, that version, the Kill Team that we bought that box for doesn't even exist anymore because they moved on to a new edition. I'm still waiting to find out all the halflings. Yeah, that game kind of fell apart.
It did.
Because that was like 2020 was going on. I was losing all my energy into RPGs, and then also like that was when all the first time that all the bad things came out about Wizards of the Coast kind of policies. So then it was like, I don't know if I feel like supporting this game right now by publishing this thing or by like promoting it. So
yeah.
All right. You ready to talk Gen Con stuff now?
Let's go Gen Con.
All right. You want to talk food first?
Love Gen Con food.
Oh
did
man.
See the, you did send me the picture of Steak and Shake.
Yeah, I did. I was like,
that.
thinking of you, brah. But not night one. Night one, so other Chris that was on the Dirtbags podcast, he was like, we need to schedule, like, because, you know, like, to eat at Gen Con at a nice restaurant, there's always, like, lines out the door and stuff. It's like, you got to schedule and, like, actually get reservations and stuff. And he's like, and he's been talking about for years wanting to get us to, like, sit down at, like, a good restaurant. Like, it was like, we need to go to, like, Fogo de Chao and whatnot. So in the past, I'm like, I'd rather spend that money in the dealer hall.
Yeah.
But this time he was like, we're gonna go, or like, I want to go to St. Elmo's Steakhouse. It's the one that like the street where all the food trucks were.
Okay. Yep.
It was like at the one block down from the convention center of that.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's right there. They apparently have like famous shrimp cocktail, which was funny because apparently it had a bunch of horseradish in it, and just seeing Heather and Mike's face just like which remember that because we'll come back to that later. But yeah, right. I had myself a nice steak. So this is what I got, right?
Okay.
And which, by the way, these green beans were amazing. This is the steak Mike got.
Wow.
This is a freaking like huge porterhouse.
Right?
Yeah.
Hang on, go back to your steak, because why does your steak look like it's two steaks glued together?
Well, it's just, I think it's the way they do it. It's like dry aged or something like that.
But the
meat,
the grill marks.
Yeah. No, somebody stepped on it.
I can tell that they line up,
yeah.
But like they shaved the middle of it.
Yeah. Well, it probably was just like the meat was just indented right there, so the grill marks didn't go all the way through. Get the flip for the good grill marks on each side.
That's right. Flip for the S&P, a choice for me, bud.
Yeah. So then actually I'm gonna skip this. That was just, it was funny. I was waiting for Mike at the Starbucks, and so I just happened to be sitting at this corner because there's a new Starbucks like right down here, and there's a plaque here talking about. And there's also like a picture or thing here. Apparently, Kurt Vonnegut's dad designed this clock.
Oh.
Yeah. That was just, I was standing there and I was like, today I learned. And of course, you had the blow up Urban Neck outside.
Nice.
Which apparently they have to get permits for this.
Really?
That's what I heard.
I mean, yeah, it's you got it's a thing blocking up the sidewalk. So
Because
yeah, you
apparently,
kinda
like
gotta-
they were gonna have it at Nova last year, and then like they didn't because of like permits or something like that. But this year they're getting them, so that they should have outside the because it's outside a hotel instead of a convention center.
yeah.
Let's see. Then you got the running of the nerds. 71,000 people.
Always love that.
Yeah, which I found the new thing for me to do is like we'll stay. We like actually, you know what? I think you might see Heather and Mike in this picture. I think that's Heather right there. Like we were just standing. We were just like standing over here, and then
that with the yellow.
yeah,
Yeah, because that is Mike.
directly behind
The
her.
shoes with the black socks.
But then, like, yeah, so we'd like sit here, wait till it gets real close, and then like at 10 o'clock when the doors open, we just come. There's a stairwell that's like right down here, not the escalator, but like if you go behind a door where the restrooms are, there's a stairwell like over here, and then you just walk down and go right in.
The bypassing of the nerds.
Yeah, the bypassing of the nerds. I did get Halo Flashpoint.
Nice.
But you'll notice it says demo copy because Ronnie got me a demo copy of that, which was funny because like I was up there. I started off just talking to him, being like asking how the show was going because I made an effort to try and go to everybody that had been on the show and just like say thank you in person for being on the show. Kind of put they'd seen my face, but putting like physical presence to voice kind of piece. And I was asking him about, or I was talking to him about it, and then I kind of made a joke about like, hey, you got a demo or you got a review copy I can have, and he's like, we do, but I don't know what they're out. We have a set that are allocated as review copies, but I don't know who they're going to. So check back tomorrow, and I'll know. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I turn around to leave, and like 30 seconds later, he comes up and taps me on the shoulder and just like hits it to me. He's like, never mind, just take it.
There you go. Hey.
Hey. Let's see. Yeah, I got some of the pictures of Halo here, so you can see them all nice and painted. There's one here, like that's the picture of the worms, but was it right? So that's what it looks like out of the box. Hold on, I'm gonna flip forward for a second. This is what I was looking at. Like these are just like amazingly painted versions of the Spartans in there. But yeah, I was talking to Ronnie, and he was talking about how the way the game is designed, like as soon as you punch things out, you can be playing like immediately. So it's like 40 minutes to kind of punch everything out and assemble it, and then you're good to go. Like the miniatures are pre-assembled. They're just pre-painted. Like 2 of them are painted red, 2 of them painted blue. But the mat here, so if you flip this mat over, it's like a 3x3 regular mat. But if you flip it over on this side, it drops it down to a 2x2, and then the entire border is how to play.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then it's got stuff labeled so that like, okay, put terrain here, put terrain here. So like this is like the quickly learn how to play, and then once you're actually, familiar with the game, you flip it over, and then you can play the bigger full scale kind of game. So really excited to break that out. Ronnie gave me one of the 2 Hellboy prototype minis for the board game back in 2019. Nice. Yes, it is Dead Zone Light from what I've that is what the I gathered from it from the interview we had about it. Let's see what I got next. Like for instance, I saw our friends over at Game Envy. So got to see all of their nice products, which is so funny every year as they make more and more products, just seeing the more and more stuff they have at their Kickstarter booth. I also finally so I've been talking about this for years, but I finally got me a hobby holder.
Okay.
So we had talked about it on the show, and like, this is like the convenient part is it's got the bottle cap that you can put the minis on. I was like, dang it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have any bottle caps. And like you can go on Amazon and pay for them for like $9. And so I put out in like a couple of the Slacks I'm in, like, anybody just got any like bags or anybody got any some bottles in the recycling? Because like we have some plastic water bottles. I know I'm terrible. But all the new water bottles have the little tiny caps, and they don't fit on this. I tried. But yeah, they have exploded. But so I went on so the Makerspace Slack, somebody responded and like, "Hey, you're just in luck. I was supposed to go yesterday to the recycling center and dump out all the bottles I have. Do you want them?" I was like, "Sure." He brings me 2 trash bags. He leaves them for me at the Makerspace. And when I say trash bags, I'm not talking like your kitchen trash bags. I'm talking like your lawn and leaf trash bags.
Oh wow.
So, I don't think you need 2-liter caps. I think just the regular 20-ounce sodas work. That's the gist I've gotten. So I had I got through sorting like a bag and a half, and then I was like, I have some I've got like 40 caps now from this. I think I'm good. So, there's that, and then of course the obligatory Steak and Shake.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Final Steak and Shake count was 4, I think.
4?
Yeah.
Those are amateur numbers, sir.
It's funny because the picture of Steak and Shake here actually was the worst Steak and Shake I had.
Oh, really?
But I don't know if it was, I put in a mobile order and I was waiting for them to call me. I didn't realize I'd go up to the counter because I was eating in. And
Gotcha.
I didn't go up to the counter and set it, so I think it sat for a while. Amazon delivery inbound 500 caps. Please, for the love of God, no. But then like the one I had just after that was like the best Steak and Shake I'd ever had. I don't know if it's like you need one to like recage what your expectations are of Steak and Shake, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is what. But like the first shake I had was like a strawberry one, and like the strawberry tasted kind of ripe, kind of piece. Like this was a little green, I think. So, oh, here we go. So, I have video. I took licenses for Marvel. So let me caveat. Were you able to hear any of that?
I was like when I popped in here when you were testing it.
Okay.
I was hearing it.
Okay. So it should go out, and it was going out on the mixer when I was playing it. So you should hear it. If not, let me know. I can talk over it if I need to. But I had a couple of video interviews, and then a couple I just kind of took pictures of. It was funny because I had all the detailed microphone setups, and then after carrying it for one day, I was like, forget this.
Screw this noise.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just going to capture the onboard. If I really want the video, if I really want the audio, I'll just use my phone. And so the audio capture was not bad based on the thing there. So this is from WizKids. Other thing I'm going to mention is it's going to be, I'm holding this with my hand because we were kind of going around looking at things. So in all these videos, I'm kind of be like going by hand. So the video is going to be a little shaky. In the beginning of this video, it's going to be a little blurry because I was trying to get the focusing right so that I could focus where I needed to be. And then I realized like 3 minutes into this video that I should just turn off autofocus and hand focus it to where I needed it to be. So second half of the video gets better as far as on focus things, but I just had the disclaimer that up front.
Had older licenses as well.
This is WizKids, by the way.
Really iconic clicking base. So it is a miniatures
talking about
skirmish
hero
game,
clicks.
And as your minis take damage, you click down on the base, and it changes your stats that are available. So we also do releases through our Icons of the Realms line. These are pre-painted D&D miniatures. A lot of our sets are sold in what we call booster boxes. Right. They have 4 collectible miniatures in each, 1 large and 3 smaller mediums. So this set is for Vecna, Eve of Ruin.
The latest campaign.
The latest campaign. Many of our releases are tied to the campaigns, but not all. And even though they are tied to the campaigns, we try to include some miniatures that are just good general use. Like this is an Ice Devil. The Ice Devil does feature in Vecna, Eve of Ruin, but you know, it can also be in your home game, right? But then on the other side of that, we do include very specific NPCs for the adventures. This is Cass, when Vecna's, you know, right hand man. you get enough time for shots?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. And
I
then,
just had to switch to manual so I could zoom in. On the Ice Devil.
and so
Look at this guy.
A new creature for Vecna Eve of Ruin is the Spider Dragon. So we went ahead and did a mini for that.
That
It's
is
as
so
you
cool.
A
it's as
spider
you might
dragon.
guess, a mix of a spider and a dragon. Its breath weapon's really cool. It breathes spiderlings on you.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. So there's a pretty popular demon lord called Miska the Wolf Spider. She's never been sculpted before, but she's a pretty major sub-villain in the Vecna campaign, and we decided to sculpt her. This is the first ever sculpt of Miska. So we'll take a look at one of our dragons that we have here for display. This is the red ghost dragon. So he actually comes in both a painted and unpainted form. So if you wanted to paint your own, you can get this completely unpainted for hobbyists. Pretty much a completely translucent mini. The only non-translucent parts are its horns here.
Right.
So it's a pretty unique, for hobby painters, if you do pick up that unpainted one, it's a pretty unique piece.
So even the unpainted one is translucent as well?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It's the exact same sculpt, just it'll be, for this one, essentially clear. Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. We'll try again tomorrow. Blue is
So we also released a set for Quest from the Infinite Staircase, which is an upcoming collection of 5 adventures from Wizards of the Coast, redone, the classic adventures, redone using the 5th edition rule set. So there are 45 miniatures here to collect, and it is supported with a new monster that they created for one of the adventures, the Frog Hemoth Elder. So the Frog Hemoth itself has been around forever.
Okay, so I have to pause here. I know I may have brought this up in the video, so you may hear me talk about it. But does this monster not look like one of the creatures from Monty Python and the Holy Grail? I feel like the cursed dragon of or whatever.
I'm not.
So somebody have to the chat or whatever. By the way, Rusted Beetle asked about, are they bringing Clicks back? Apparently Clicks never left. So this whole time they've been and I've been seeing them in stores. Like, I've never seen anyone play the game, but I've seen them in stores. I've never seen anybody buy them, but apparently somebody is, because they've been publishing them this whole time. I always see them. Yes, the cave scene. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
The cave scene.
The cave scene
The
where
one
they
with the rabbit?
with the rabbit on the outside, and then they go inside. That's all the way in the cave, and the monster chases them through the cave, where it's like the cursed thing of, and it's like he's dying as he wrote it.
Oh. Okay, I'm with you now. It's been a while since I've actually seen it all the way through.
But the Frog Hemoth Elder is a new take on it. It's much larger, much beefier.
Reminds me of one of the monsters from Monty Python.
Yeah,
the Holy Grail.
Yeah. So the Frog Hemoth is quite big.
So I gotta say, I knew that they did the pre-painted minis, but I'd kind of overlooked them because we don't play. Like, I mean, we kind of do play with minis, but it's more of a, this is just representing me where I'm standing, and it's not exactly.
It's all placeholder stuff.
It's all placeholder stuff, and it's not really. And of course, my camera went out again. It's like I said, it's not Uh-oh, it's over there beeping at me. Sorry, stand by 1 second. All right. But yeah, I had sent the monster pic in Discord. Okay, there we go. All right. And I kept making a bunch of clicking and stuff because I was hitting the button. I hit a button, wasn't looking at it. So I knew they had done this, but I had never really paid attention. Also because they sell the minis as like booster packs, so it's like if you wanted these exact minis for like a scene or whatever, you'd have to buy a crap ton of them. But like when I got to looking at them, they're actually really nice. I don't know if you were able to see very much. And there's some like they have they have starter packs that have a lot of the specific ones detailed out. Like here's like the most popular ones, and then all the bosses are standalone purchases. So those aren't packaged. Like you saw the mini. Of course, they're also more expensive. So like you saw like there's a huge owlbear mini they have off to the side here that's like $130. I want to say these are like 60-ish. I don't have the glare in. I'm just gonna skip ahead a little bit here. Because, yeah, like they... I didn't trim this beforehand. I think these are some Pathfinder ones, but there's something else here. Yeah, some Pathfinder ones, just like it. But there is something I want to show you. So actually, let's...
appear in the Vecna set, but if you just wanted the Kuo-toa, because they're a great creature type that you never just need one. You need like 4 or 5. You know, you're never just gonna fight one Kuo-toa. You're gonna fight 5. So the warband is great for that. You pick it up right there, bam. Now you can run a Kuo-toa encounter, no problem. Yep. So
some of the starter set.
I really like. Oh wow. A lot of people end up really liking this one. So it's one of my favorites too. So this is the Pathfinder Death Coach, but like it could easily be in any game system, as far as I'm concerned. The purple here, you can't tell here, but the purple is actually glow in the dark. Nice. So if you get in a really nice dark room, these will be quite vibrant. Awesome. Well, let's have a quick run through of some of the RPG. So.
And I know you got the Star Trek.
Yeah, yes, I can give you. I can give you the rundown on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the blind boosters
so
make
to
a
release,
ton of
by
money
end of
for
the year, probably November. Star Trek Into the Unknown. It's more than just a ship battle game. But are you familiar with Armada?
Yes.
So some of the designers, not the whole design team, but some of the designers from Armada have come here to create this game.
Gotcha.
So all of the ships are to scale. You can see that we have the Enterprise out there. The saucer does detach.
Nice.
If you're a Trek fan.
You can kind of see that.
Yep, it detaches. So essentially how it works, you're moving around a star map, and you're trying to progress along different objectives. You can win through multiple ways. You could defeat your opponent, but you can also win through science, diplomacy, things like that, right? We plan on having story-based expansions. There's a bit of a story that goes on. There's a scenario book.
Well, that's cool.
We'll release other scenarios as well, but we plan on for expansions to expand that story and also offer new ships and new factions to play as. But yeah, releasing November.
Okay.
10 a.m. as soon as we open up.
Yeah. Well.
And then check this out. There's
let's see. Well, we can quickly run through some of this. Sorry, with some of these being late, they're starting to get crammed, so I'm trying to get through kind of.
Oops. Where's the?
So you play one of the.
This is a whole book for this board game.
You play through different ages of healing and you move around the map.
It's basically talk through this part, but it's if you ever heard of there's a Tales from the Arabian Nights is a board game that's been around for a while. This is like a new version that's like Tales from the Arthurian Legends or something like that, where you do different things and then all these scenarios are listed in this book that you go through. But this book was like RPG book sized. Yeah, before Hasbro came out with the pre-painted mini boosters, they were going to do non-random. They were going to make DM packs with sets of common monsters. And then somebody said there was more money in blind boosters, so they changed it, and I thought that was a terrible idea, Sis Rusted Beetle. But yeah, if you look at the numbers, the blind booster RPG things, they call them like the like if you look, there's non-collectible minis, which is like your Warcraft, and then there's the collectible minis, and that section is like tons of money.
Oh yeah.
Board game meets choose your own. Yeah, essentially. So that was most of everything I saw at the WizKids booth. That at least I kind of
All right.
somewhat interested in, leaned more towards the RPG stuff, and then I had to get the Star Trek piece in there for you.
Mhm.
And I think we mentioned briefly about Captain's Log, the new Captain's Log game, but it's not. I don't think I got it on that part on video. So, are you interested in the Star Trek minis game?
It looks interesting. I think you had showed me something about it, and then I saw something else popped up in like a random Facebook article that
Yeah.
linked to another website. Yeah, it looks pretty interesting, especially with the relatively to scale.
Yeah, because
Like
it wasn't like that
Galaxy
in
and
Attack
Defiant.
Wing. Yeah, the Attack Wing one, it was like everything's the same size.
Yeah, this is like no, yeah, you can fit like 12 Defiants on a saucer of a
Yeah.
galaxy. Like, yeah.
Yeah, Tales of the Arthurian Knights is that other game. More pictures of the course. Yeah, there's the. This is like $130 owlbear, but a lot of board games, a lot of board game stores will buy this stuff as like decoration. Like they have one.
So
They have one that's like a dragon head that's like mounted on a plate, like you would like a deer antlers.
okay, so that is some sort of solid material.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. From a distance, it looks like a plush.
Yeah. No, they had
That's
plenty.
Definitely a plush.
Though they had plenty of plushes. Lots of cute little plushies.
That was another one of the Cat and Cthulhu comic. It was like the cat summons Cthulhu, and he comes out of the water all pissed off. What the hell you want? He's like, oh, hey, I got you this plushie for your plushie dimension. And like, it glows in the dark. And then the cat leaves, and he's sitting there grumbling. How'd she know about my plushie dimension? And then like slices the world open and throws the thing. Oh, damn, it does glow in the dark. It's so cool.
Asking for a friend, did you stop by the the Snapship Tactics booth? I did stop by there real quick. I forgot to get a card. I'm terrible at this but I did not buy a 3x3 mat because I need to. I'm at the point now with Snapship Tactics. I need to get it played more before I invest more money in it. Like I need to have this where this is going to be something I play on a regular basis before I sink more money into it. Unlike plenty of other games that I've sunk tons of money into and then never played. So here's the consignment hall.
Libraries?
Huh?
Should we open our Steam libraries?
Yeah, exactly. So the consignment hall was packed this year. Like in the past, I think I have nothing to verify these numbers. This is just what I saw on a Facebook post. Like last year, they had some like 7,000 to 8,000 different items in the consignment shop. This year, apparently, it was like 18,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it was packed. Sad part is I only went in on Thursday. When everything, because I always have like Thursday's the highest, and then Friday and Saturday's the cheapest. Like if you wait, it'll get cheaper, but then there's always the chance that somebody will buy it.
Right.
It's funny. Nickel spent so much money in the consignment hall. He got so many games, but I think he went there drunk.
Oh,
like one night, and then he's like, "Guys, I bought all these games." But then I didn't. There was a couple of games when I went on Thursday. I was like, "That's interesting, but not for that price." Because they would be like, "Oh, like for instance, they had you might be able to see them in here. They had the Snapship Tactics consoles in here, but they were only like $5 cheaper than buying them from the booth."
Oh.
And it's like, yeah, if I wait until like Saturday, it might be like $10 or something. But then I forgot to go back on Saturday. Yeah. Is what it is. Of course, they had there was a big. I should have taken video of that, but they had a big D&D quote museum that was kind of like on the second. It was very small. It was just a section that they roped off in the main part of the convention center. That was on the second floor, not far from where the D&D games they run in the big ballroom. And then they had basically a couple of glass displays that had like every version of D&D's like starter core books.
Nice.
But outside of it, they had a bunch of like, these are like our promoted products. Like here's the Lego D&D minifigs. But then they had I had to take a picture of this and send it to Heather because it's like how not to get eaten by owlbears. I stopped by the speed painting booth, and they had like a painting competition thing. This was obviously not speed painted, but like this is the lion from 40K here, and I just was like, man, that's some pretty intense work there. And then on the other hand, like I thought this dino in the back was really kind of cool and cheeky.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Because like then they put it. They did like the real orca. They did like an orca where like the white spots you think those are the eyes, but those aren't actually the eyes.
Yeah.
On the
let's see. Stop by the Cyberpunk booth, the Monster Fight Club booth. They had a lot of their terrain out there, which that's another thing that's like I need to play the game more before I go buy a bunch more of their terrain. Let's see. This was really cool. So I don't. This was a booth called Mythic Americas, and they had a bunch of really cool creatures in it. I don't know if this is related. A friend of mine that plays minis games, he's been trying to get a bunch of us into this game called Mythic Americas. It's made by Warlord Games, but it's like a fantasy. It's like a fantasy. It's think like Native America, but with more fantasy elements kind of piece. Minis game that's kind of minis agnostic piece. So I don't know if this is related or if this is a different thing.
Okay.
But I saw the minis and I just thought they were cool, and I was going around taking pictures of everything. And they just had some kind of gorgeous looking, gorgeously painted minis.
Oh yeah, man. The Eagles.
Yeah. Oh, this was cool. So this was just a random kids. Let's see. I think it was what was the? I have to take pictures of the booth so I know what the game was.
It was Pickleball Blast.
I know,
oh,
but
the
Moose
name of the
Games
booth. Yeah,
was
yeah.
the company. But yeah, it's called Pickleball Blast, which I thought was funny. It's this pickle that's on the end of a. So if you've heard of pickleball, like where they play, it's basically tennis with a wiffle ball. Kind of thing. It's gotten really popular with older people. I only say that because like a couple of the people that retired a couple of years ago at work would not stop talking about it.
Oh.
And that's all I ever heard ever talk about it. But like there's this
Our favorite bartender at Outback, who was younger than me.
Okay.
Is like
I know other
giant
people
into
play, but that's only I've ever heard of. But so you've got these little containers here that they have like two sides to them. And like when the pickle hits it, it'll flip sides, and you have these little swatters, and you have to swat the pickle onto your opponent's side to try and like flip their tokens. Which, because it's kind of the way it's weighted, it kind of goes chaotic. So even if like the opponent doesn't hit them, you may still get hit. You may still have like yours get hit even if you weren't necessarily targeting them. But it was definitely like a great like kids looking game. So I thought
that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pickleball, and it was only like $15. That was the other thing. I don't know if that was a con special, but it looked really cool. So if you've got kids, that might be kind of fun. Norse Foundry had a bunch of good stuff, like always. Those are the ones that have some of the really nice dice. Gale Force 9 had some really cool. These are terrain packs that are.
Oh yeah.
It's just cardboard boxes. So I don't know if you remember Ice Cool, the flicking game, where like you would set up the board with that way. This is basically that idea, but for an RPG dungeon.
Okay, yeah, because I see the clips. Yeah.
Yeah, but like they have like there's a Sanctum here, the Underdark, Ravenhold Castle, these mines, and I'm sitting here looking at this. I'm like, you could also use that for miniature gaming. But I think the idea was more for, and then like when you're done, you just unclip it and stack everything up in the box.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you can hear my cat crying in the background. This is the new Aliens board game that Gale Force 9 has coming out. I forgot what's the name was funny. It's like Just Another Day in the Core or something like that was the name of it. Let's see. Stopped by the Cthulhu or Call of Cthulhu. So the Chaosium booth. They had this Cthulhu by Gaslight. So it's Victorian age Cthulhu games. And then they also had this Horror on the Orient Express, like their version of the classic story. It's a two-part book.
Sweet.
This is only volume 1 here, but like that $60 was apparently for both parts. And each of those books was like the size of that
Player's Handbook.
No. We're talking like the book that was in that Tales of the Arthurian Knights, the big thick one.
Okay.
Each one was like
Yeah.
that size.
Yeah. When you had described that book, I immediately went back to like my social studies book in school.
Yeah. They're
Like,
like
it was that thick.
They're like this size, like the
Okay,
Dungeon
yeah,
Crawl
that's
Classic
textbook
size.
thick.
Yeah, textbook thick. Exactly.
Damn, boy, she thick.
Which for $60 to get both, I was like, damn, boy.
Yeah.
Like if
That's a steal.
like I almost want it just because it's kind of icon. The story is kind of iconic, but like I wish I could actually
I'm
get
loving
it
the
played.
art on the train.
Oh yeah, the face coming out of the train.
Yes.
Yeah. I might have to put that on my wish list at some point. So Corvus Belli debuted Warcry, which is they're the people that make Infinity. Might try and get somebody from there on the show, but they're based out of Spain, so that might be hard. But it was funny because this is the game I was talking about where I think it was Beetle made me realize it's a rondelle was the way the initiative works, where you place your token on the track here, and you take initiative, and depending on what kind of action you take, you only move so far. And if the turn counter gets to you next, no matter who went before. Oh, did I say Warcry? It's Warcrow. Sorry, Warcrow. This is their fantasy battle game, which released just like a couple weeks ago, but is now available. Or they were selling a lot of it at Gen Con. So a lot of pictures of their stuff. The polar bear one. This was the mini. I was like, I really want that polar bear. Which they had it there for sale separately, so I almost did buy it. But these were the ones that the orcs looked like. We talked about this, where they look kind of World of Warcraft-ish. Passed by the Red Raven Games, had a Sleeping Gods, Distant Skies. You're going to see a lot of just quick flashes because, like, I didn't, it was like, oh, that's cool to look at, but I didn't stop to look out more of it. Stopped by Games
drive-by documenting.
Yeah. Games and Gears they were partnering with another group that had like some STL files of minis they had printed out, and they were showing off.
That dude has amazing hair.
Oh yeah,
got like Johnny Bravo hair flipping out in the front there.
Oh yeah, totally. So this was my demo, or this was my Cosmos appointment, but it was kind of a big group thing, and the way they did it. Also, my battery was dying, so I just took pictures. This is Masters of Crime. This one's Vendetta. It's their Exit kind of game, but as a detective true crime solving game. So, like, it's not
Clue almost.
No. This is like here's all these cards have like all these cards have like evidence on them. Like this sheet's got a bunch of evidence, and like you have all these different locations you can go to, and even things where like you can send an email to somebody and they'll email you back with like their statement or whatever. Like you may have to go to Google Maps to like look up information on a specific location kind of thing. The first one's Vendetta, which was like more of kind of like a mob style sort of game. But it's just one of those. It's not the puzzles and stuff aren't formulated like they are for Exit. I was just using that as an example of like it's like a scenario game that you play. But think like escape room style game turned into like a true crime game, where you're working with your friends to try and figure out what happened. Did you play that Chronicles of Crime game that we played?
Doesn't sound familiar.
Okay. I thought I played it where it was like one of the games. It's like you had to look through the phone to see the crime scene and like yell out clues and stuff. And all the people had QR codes to like interview them.
It does not sound familiar, but it sounds interesting.
Okay. So yeah, it was kind of like that. Also got to play. Oh yeah. So like here's like. What do you want to do? Give her cement shoes so she can sleep with the fishes. Fake her death and help her escape. And that goes, okay, whichever one goes to the next card. Yeah, Masters of Crime. And then they got a Shadows one, which is like art stealing. So, but I think it was like $20 for each one of these boxes. So you're talking like, and the big deal about these is like exit games have been kind of like destroyable, where you usually have to rip up stuff to play to like solve things. These are designed not to be. So you play it, and then you can hand them off to like somebody else to play. Some more pictures there. They also had this Nuntak or Nunatak game. This is really cool just because of the height to it. So I don't know if you can tell from this picture, but it's basically a pyramid that you're building up.
Oh yeah, I see
so
the levels,
there's like 3 or 4 levels on this, and like the way each game goes is like each turn you're gonna like draw cards or place like a cube, one of these little cube holder things. And when you have all 4 corners filled in, you put a level on it, and you'll get points depending on how many of those colors are yours. Like each player has a separate color.
Okay.
And that it's one of those like you're trying to place stuff on the board and collect cards in a way that gets you the most points. Played the Gang. This game sold out. Like even when I had the Cosmos meeting, it was already pretty much sold out. But it's basically cooperative poker. And this one I actually got to play because Sean got it, and we broke it out like Friday night because it was just like, let's play this game. So we played it at 3 players, and so you shuffle the cards, deal them out, just basically like poker. And the way it works is you start off with like just everybody getting their hand. So everybody gets the 2 cards, and then you discuss without revealing to anybody who you think has the better hand. Like you'd be like, oh, I've got a really good hand, and you're like, I don't know about mine. And then so you assign like 1 star through how many ever players, and then you do like the first flip of like the first 3, and then you're like, well, that changed things. I'm not doing so hot. And you shuffle them around, and you keep going step by step till you get the whole river out. And then once you've done the whole river, you reveal your cards, and depending on the last one. So the last round is the only thing that matters for scoring. The previous rounds are more for like information to kind of give the players about whether you have a good or bad hand to help you on the last one. And then if you are right, you get like a point, and then if you're wrong, basically like, because the theme is like you're breaking into the vault. So it's like if you were correct, you broke into the vault. If you didn't, then the bank won or whatever, and the first side to get to 3 wins. But there's also alternative rules where if you win, the game gets harder, and if you got the round correct, the game gets harder. If you got the round wrong, it gets easier, kind of thing. Where it's like, okay, this round everybody's gonna get 3 cards and then discard, or like not discard any or something like that to make the game easier or harder. It was pretty fun. I don't know how often I would play it, but it was definitely something like, because if you know how to play poker, you've got the basic gist of the game as far as like what hands are better than what. And I mean, this is basically fundamentally just a deck of playing cards.
Yeah.
In the game, like you could print and play this pretty easily. But we played it at 3. It was pretty easy at 3. I don't know if I'd play it again at 3. I think Sean had said he had played it. They had been like print and playing this for a while. And he had played it like 5, and it gets kind of ridiculous at that level. I think I'd want to try it at that, because when you're playing at 3, it's like if somebody says I'm bad and somebody says like I've got okay, it's kind of easy to determine where you are. But when you've got like 5, there's more definition of where in the scale of good to bad are you. So then Arcs was another one that was huge. So I don't know if you remember, we had Patrick Leader on, the makers of Root, Leader Games, and talking about Arcs. So this is another, this is a 4X style game, but a lot of people were talking about this game through there. And even Sean got to play it, and he said it was a really good game. I think this is... Oh, this is like the Mandalorian Adventures. This is stuff slightly off key because, yes, Asmodee. Okay. Asmodee had a booth. All of a sudden,
they built a castle.
Yeah. So a couple years ago, eBay did this thing where they had a 2-story booth, And ever since then, you're slowly starting to see booths go into the third dimension on their, like, Asmodee had like a little castle here, but I don't think you could get up into that top part. But one of the other companies, they had like they had a top to their booth where like their events, like where they were streaming games and like people were demoing it. Like if you had a ticket to demo the game, you would just go up there was a stairway that went upstairs. And I think people are going to realize like, oh, if we go a second tier, we can get more space in our booth.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to cost you more in like assembling your booth and all that stuff, but you'll save it on the floor space piece. Yeah, there's some more of the Mandalorian stuff. This was Crisis Protocol. They had this really cool terrain piece that I think's coming out. I think it's Ultron based, and this is like a complete set right here that you can buy. I don't know if it includes this head here. That might be but it may just be this big, huge building construct piece there. They also had Shatterpoint. Again, really cool, awesome terrain boards. Oh, there it goes. River of Gold, which is like the first L5R product they've put out in like years. But it's like a Euro-ish kind of game. Sean played it and said it was amazing. So if you're a big fan of like thematic Euros, I think you'll like this. I asked him like, is it my kind of game? And he's like, I don't know. So I'll have to see more about that. But there's that. Speaking of L5R, I also got to play L5R. I signed up to play in a game. It was really cool.
Nice.
Great getting to break out the D6 or the L5R dice sets that have been sitting gathering dust for like 5 years.
I can imagine.
And it's really fun because these guys have like an ongoing campaign, narrative-wise. So like I'm registered in their system with my character, so I can take that character to any of their other games and play in them. Like sometimes people will run games on their Discord and stuff, or like they have a weekend. It's like weekend in Rokugan or something where they just run L5R games for like a week or for a weekend stuff. So I can play in like any of those games and like upgrade my character or whatever. This was I posted in Discord. It took me like an hour to 2 hours just to make this character. Because the way you make them in L5R is it's called like a game of 20 questions where there's 20 questions and each question fills out like a different section of the sheet and kind of helps you. So I had a whole narrative built up about my character where it was I was kind of a illusionist sort of Shugenja, which is more of like your mage / priest. But I was an illusionist one that like he had gained some notary because he had keen hearing and had stopped like an assassination attempt. But like he had one of his downsides was whispers of doom, like everyone near him eventually ends up dying. And these are all just answers to questions, and it just helps you build out this background to your character. So if you're the kind of person that like wants to have a fleshed out character but kind of get like stuck on like I don't want it to be same old, L5R is one of those kind of things because it kind of like it makes you walk through it. Other games do it too, from what I heard. Also, this was one of my big pickups from Gen Con. I put it in here. It's a player folio. So this folds up, and like you can see the magnetic clasp. But like it's got it's got a dice tray, it's got storage for dice, and then it's got a bunch of clicky wheels. So like this is designed more for 5e, but like you know you got there's a clicky wheel that's got one. It's empty except for one side has a dot that you flip up for if you have inspiration or not. You got like your passive wisdom score, your speed, initiative, armor, hit points, current hit points, hit dice, how many you have left, and all those things you can just like advance down. There's an experience one at the top, your level, and then down here covered up is like the gold, silver. So next time you see me playing Star Wars, I'm going to just be sitting there in the corner clicking my wheels. And the other half is cool because like, so this is an acrylic sheet over here, so you can slide your character sheet underneath it and then write on it to like mark it up without marking up your sheet.
Oh, nice.
And then this top part comes off and you can then store your character sheets back there. So really cool. I got to try it later with 5e. Yeah, 5e fidget toy. Yeah, basically. Like, I'm not going to use the gold one, like to keep track of gold and stuff, but I'll definitely be down there just like spinning those wheels. This was the L5R. They're making a video game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which on almost magic artillery.
So I will explain. They're making an L5R video game. It is a roguelike game that is an auto battler. So like you set up, and I'll fix my camera in a second. You set up like you'll have a set of heroes. You set them up, and then kind of click start, and then start fighting.
Okay.
Attack tower. Here. Who's gonna die? He's gonna die.
Do you start out with like set characters?
So you're starting out with the siblings at least, but the kind of quest overall is to rebuild a watchtower where you recruit new units, you level units, and over time you will gain more and more.
So he gets more power, he gets more defense.
And also on
Crazy, huh? Oh my god, it's so good. So we do these things. Oh, yeah, the life steal is the life steal.
Hang on, my computer's trying to do 5 things at once.
Yep.
Oh, no, she's healing.
now the new channels, of course, there are different enemies and different mechanics that you need to kind of be flexible around. Certain builds can be really good against boss number 1, but so it's really about kind of finding your party and having the flexibility to do everything.
Thank you.
Which on almost magic.
I'm just letting it play again so that it actually gets some of the...
Here. Who's gonna die? He's gonna die.
Do you start out with like set characters?
So you're starting out with the siblings at least.
Yes, I did say
the kind
roguelike.
of quest overall is to rebuild a watchtower where you recruit new units, you level units, and over time you will gain more and more.
So he gets more power, he gets more defense.
And also on
Crazy, huh? Oh my god, it's so good. So we do these things. Oh, yeah, the life steal is bad. Oh, no, she's healing.
now the new channels, of course, there are different enemies and different mechanics that you need to kind of be flexible around. Certain builds can be really good against boss number 1, but so it's
Yeah, I probably should have downloaded some of these videos. Sorry, trying to get my camera set back up. Wondering if it's just overheating.
Trying to say you're too hot, Chris.
Yeah. Hot damn.
Hot damn.
So, yeah. I put all these in the Google thing because I figured it would be easier, but I probably should have just downloaded them. Which I did download them. Okay. I can pull that up for next time. But yeah, so it's like, I don't know how much you were actually able to see there.
It looked like a turn-based tactics game.
Yes, except for, like I said, it's an auto battler where you place where they start and kind of which characters and equip them with different things and then hit go and then they all move on their own.
Okay.
So this was like one of the main boss fights. And then I got to play it. It's pretty cool. I mean, I know a lot of people aren't big fans of the auto battler kind of thing because they'd rather like, I want to do all the fighting. Why do I want it to do? Like, that's the coolest part. So the graphics were great and the gameplay was kind of cool. I'd buy it on a Steam sale maybe.
Okay.
Like, it seemed kind of neat if you're a fan. It's a weird place for them to start trying to, like, I think the idea was to try and get people interested in L5R because I think they're wanting to make L5R a big deal again. But L5R is not really known for its combat. It's for like half of its combat and half of its like political intrigue kind of stuff. So a lot of people were kind of like, eh. And then also with it being an auto battler, and like I was talking to Mike and Chris, and they were both kind of like, eh, sort of thing. But honestly, like I could see this working great as like a app on like an iPad or on a tablet that I can play while I'm taking a dump. That's where I see this getting played the most.
I gotcha.
Oh my god. So I got super excited because I saw they had this big banner advertising that was like, experience the horror. That was like, we themed a whole room around Arkham Horror. And I'm like, heck yes. Like, that's my jam. Let's go. Because one of the big releases this year was the Arkham Horror LCG, or not the LCG, the Arkham Horror role-playing game.
Gotcha.
So that was a release, and so that was, I think, what the idea for that. And yeah, Russell Beetle mentions L5R was the inspiration for the Gamers 3. That was the card game in the Gamers 3 was basically L5R. So I got excited. I was like, I need to go check out this room. And then so they had like this is the RPG that they had set up, and they announced a new LCG pack or whatever, and they've got minis coming out from like Loot Studios. But then I go to the actual room, and it's just like, hold on, let me clip through. Did I take pictures of the actual room? I don't think I did, but you can kind of see it in the glass here. It's nothing fancy. They just had a bunch of games set up, and then they had some banners on the wall, and then these display cases of all the product. I was like, this is like the lamest Arkham Horror room. Like, I would have dimmed the lights and had like tea candles and stuff, and like
some sort of ambiance.
Yeah, like if you're gonna have like, oh, we've got an Arkham Horror room, like go all the way. And it also smelled like funk in there. Like, I don't think the air was circulating very well because it smelled like gamer. Like, everybody on here knows exactly the smell I'm talking about.
100%.
Yeah, so I mean, like, they had some cool stuff. Like, the Loot Mini stuff that you can buy is really cool. And, like, they had, displays of, like, apparently it's Arkham Horror comics coming out from Dark Horse.
Oh, nice.
Didn't know that, but that makes sense because Dark Horse is now owned by Embracer Group, who owns Asmodee. They had, like, a whole display of all the novels. And, like, you've got taped to the wall, like, signs, like, cool, this is definitely getting me in the Arkham Horror mood here. I'm familiar with gamer smell. Yeah, like, this was the kind of most decoration they had. Let's see. They announced a bunch of cool new products for Star Wars Unlimited. This is the Dune War on Arrakis board game. I believe this is coming out. This is the one from Simon, I believe, is that Dune game, because there's a million different Dune games. The Cyberpunk game, not the Edge Runners one that's from Monster Fight Club. This is the Simon Cyberpunk game.
Okay.
Asmodee also had, like, everybody was doing fancy dice. So they had, like, these are Catan dice that have the different.
Oh, it's got the materials.
It's got the
inside?
materials inside. So, like, you got the robber, or there's like a sheep and like wood.
A sheep and wheat.
Yeah, sheep, wheat, bricks, and ore inside the die. I thought that was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, and then they like had fancy versions. This is the kind of stuff when we had the guy on for Fan Roll. He was talking about the things that they're working on. Dungeon Forge had a bunch of stuff, which I don't know how Dungeon Forge still exists now that you can just 3D print stuff. Neopets was also apparently a big, huge deal.
I've been seeing it come back.
Yeah, there's like a Neopets like collectible card game that Upper Deck is putting out. I'm
gonna admit I have been trying to recover my Neopets account.
$10 ambience brought to you by Scotch Tape. They have these magnetic hexes, which I think a friend of ours has this for like BattleTech. It's really kind of cool that these all like they have magnets on the corners, so they all just like click, click, click together.
Oh, okay.
Metro Runner from Thunderworks Games, and then Stone Spire Architects again. Stone Spire Games or Thunderworks Games. Of course, there was a big, huge Renegade booth, like always, with all the RPGs and the vampire stuff. But their big push was HeroQuest this year, and they had some nice HeroQuest boards. Like, I almost wanted I wanted there to be a price tag by each one of these booths, it's like how much terrain, like how much is it to make that? Like what you've seen here is $500 worth of product. Because that's all I could think about is just like looking at the number of like when you see all the hexes stacked up, like how much does it take to make that? Like that's cool and all. And there's another one here. Not
because those are all, those are all single layers, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they make some that might be double layers, but not not the super tall layers that they've got going on here in Tree Fitty. But yeah, they were pushing a lot of the HeroScape stuff at their booth, but like this one had like caves in it. Like you had board, you had the board on top, and when you went behind it, there was the water came in, and there was a cave on the backside.
Oh yeah, that's got. I mean, because you can see see
like
the shift in the layers. So like, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And just like this is cool and all, but you're not making this with the starter set. Then I, of course, had to go to the Catalyst booth. They had stuff for their Leviathans, which is like submarines in the sky kind of looking ships is what it looks like.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I see that.
They had this big, huge board for when the picture finally gets in focus. For BattleTech, that was like, you can kind of see it's blurry now. Hopefully it'll come into view. There's like a drop ship here, and there's like 2 mechs falling out of the drop ship, and then like a city battle. And why will that picture not load? Because that was like the coolest picture. Of course it won't load. There it is. Yeah. There you go. A little bit. There we go. So yeah, there's like an
there you go.
Atlas here just like falling out of this drop ship. And then this terrain setup of 2 things. This was actually my first purchase. Was actually I went like 2 hours of day 1 before I actually bought something.
Oh,
which I think that's a record for me. My friend had all the game and all the expansions around 2005. I think it would take him 2 hours to set up a table at work, and then an hour to play 3 games, and then another hour and a half to pack it back up. Sounds about right. So the big urban mech, that was the big blow-up thing. There's a joke about it being just like how much of a meme, and they made a salvage box, which is called an urban mech land, which is land air mech. So this is it converting into like an airplane, and they made a mech in like each stage. So like this is it with jump jets, but the wings deployed, and then this one goes on a base like X-wing to where it's like a fighter.
Okay.
So it's super fun. And then they had like a bunch of stuff with all the new Kickstarter. They didn't have the actual new Kickstarter there, probably because people are still getting it. Like me, I haven't gotten them. But they were showing off these new force manuals that they have, which are basically codexes for the different factions. And then, like, some prototypes of the upcoming packs that they've got coming out. Crossbows and catapults was there. We showed this on the show where it's like you got to launch stuff and try and knock down other things. It's one of those, this is great for a game store to have just set out. Because you just have it like there and like pull these discs back and fire them, trying to hit the basically Duplo box over here. Like they had this, I don't know if you can see it in the picture. They had this huge net to try and like keep them from flying off.
To make sure
booth.
stuff doesn't. Yeah.
I told you I went to the Snapship Tactics booth. So this kind of gives you an idea. Like for scale, this is like your standard board game box, the 12 by 12 board game box. That's how big these ships are.
Jeez, man.
Yeah. So you're talking like large scale. Like that thing is, some of those ships are like this big playing. But yeah. Doesn't it look like X-Wing? It's basically Legos but X-Wing, or X-Wing but with Legos. Let's see. There was a booth that had a bunch of like Dungeon Cat themed pins that I thought was really cool. Nice. Heather we had to stop at the Owlbear plush booth that has like it has little magnets so you could put like fish in its mouth.
Oh, cool. It's wearing a cape and a bow tie?
Yeah, that's like an accessory kit that you can get.
Okay.
Rumble Slam, so TT Combat was there. And they do a bunch of terrain and stuff, but they also have started making their own games. And Rumble Slam is kind of this like wrestling themed minis skirmish game where like you put your guys in the rink and it's all squares and like you roll the dice to do different attacks and stuff on them, like throw people off the ring and stuff.
Okay.
Just another, like I said, bunch of like, oh, that looks cool. Warhammer was there. They had their Legions Imperialis, their tiny hammer game, the epic scale game.
Okay.
Then they had like some Into the Dark Kill Team demo games going on, where like each person picked one character, and then you had to like fight off all the baddies inside the ship.
Gotcha.
That was like a cool way of learning. They had Colossal Cat in the Box.
Oh.
Yeah. And then Modifius had Mutant Zone, or no, this was Cubicle or Free League had this new minis game called Mutant. So Mutant Chronicles that you have on your show that you were talking about, they have a minis game for it, a skirmish minis game for it, set in that world. I got to play Dragonbane, which is the game that's got like the, yes, like a Gauntlet video game. Yes, that was the way that they ran it here, and the thing. They even called it like a Kill Team Dungeon Crawl or something like that. I think the next picture. Yeah, I got to play. So Dragonbane's the game that's got like the duck-themed characters. Like you can be a Mallard Knight or like a Mallard.
Oh, nice.
So I got to play that, and I used another. Here's another shot of the. You can see all the different wheels this time. It was a game. It like the only thing that really drew me was the duck part, and like it had like ill-tempered and webbed feet and all this and that was kind of cool. But the game itself was kind of like, and there was a couple of mechanics because it's a roll under kind of game. So it's like, oh, if my strength's 14, then to hit I need to roll under 14. So but it's a D20, so you'd always be rolling, and like if you had like a boon, you'd roll twice, and you're like, oh wait, I want the lowest, not the highest. So because it's reversed. And there was things like, some of the bits could have been like maybe we were playing the game wrong and the GM didn't know the rules. But like every time I took it, like I had an armor score of like 6, which was like a soak in, it's like the first 6 damage I got to shrug off.
Gotcha.
But like every time I took a hit, my armor went down. So like after like 6 hits, my armor's doing nothing.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, I'm the tank. I'm supposed to take the hits.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like, eh.
I don't know if you sent it to me or if I sent it to you or if I just saw it. It was a in the 90s Disney was really like, hey, just steal from the comic books but change it all to ducks.
Yeah.
So like Darkwing Duck is Batman.
Yep.
And then there was that like Mighty Ducks kind of superhero force.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's Justice League.
I love that like Mike was telling, were you there when we were talking about how like the inspiration for Tailspin? Where Mike was telling us about some British TV show that he watched growing up. And then I was like, that sounds like Tailspin. And I looked it up and it was like some of the things, ideas for Tailspin came from this random British show. This is like the board that we were playing on for Dragonbane. So like it comes with all these little minis. So instead of spending a bunch of money on random boosters to get the minis, you just use standees instead, and it comes in the Dragonbane box.
Okay.
I think this is another video, which I'm going to skip through here because I'm going to go. I'm going to click to you, and I'm going to pull these up because I think I downloaded these.
Okay.
Just give me one moment. Ah, crap. Apparently that was the other computer I downloaded them on. All right. So this was White Wizard is what I was talking to. So we'll see how. I won't touch my computer. I won't touch my camera or anything this time. So first up, they had Sorcerer, which is it's a card game. That's the first box is like a card.
As you can see there is a lot of awesome.
So what's different about this set for someone that has the original?
So this set is
Tales of the Gold Monkey. Yes, that was the thing that Mike was talking about. But just to recap, since he's about to talk about what's different, Sorcerer was a game that was kind of like, it's almost like a grown-up version of Smash Up, where you had all these different options of decks, and there was like a domain, a spell type, and then like a caster, and you would choose different combinations and smack them together, and that was your deck. And then you would play out on these bases and try and like capture the most locations. It was like a 1v1 card game, but it was a versus card game.
Versus.
For solo or cooperative play.
Awesome.
1 to 3 sorcerers are going to battle against a demigod. These gigantic avatars here are the various demigods you can fight against, and you create your opponent the same way you create the sorcerers in the game. You choose a demigod you want to battle against. Each one has their own deck, which controls their actions, and they each have sort of unique powers and things that they're going to be bringing to bear against you. You choose one of the 4 different armies of the apocalypse. We've got the plague army with rats. We've got the Hellraiser, the demon army, the Death Dealer, the undead army, and the Demiurge, which has these primordial beings which mutate while you play, getting these extra counters on them that give them different powers. And then, so you combine a demigod with an army of the apocalypse, and finally a scenario, basically a doomsday scenario, and so the 3 of those together will give you, just like in Sorcerer, so here we have Hypnos, the Plaguebringer, is arming the Horde, or if you changed your scenarios, you could have is leading the invasion. You put those 3 together, that creates the scenario that you're fighting against. And so there's 64 different combinations for the bad guy that you can play against. When it's these decks control the flow of the play. When the Endbringer is taking their action, you get the action effect up here. If you manage to score a critical hit against them, you're going to get the effects on the bottom, and then with these colors, randomize other effects during the game. So drawing these cards controls the play of the bad guy, and then there's the various minions that they'll be summoning, and that'll be entering the battlefield, and then various effects that happen at during different points in the game based on the scenario that you're.
Is it only the villains in this box, or are there new player cards as well?
There are no new player cards in this box. However, we have a bunch of new player card content available. So we have new characters, new lineages, and new domains, so that you can add to your set for choosing your characters. The Endbringer box set itself is only the bad guy stuff.
Right.
Only the Endbringers that you're going to be facing, and it gives you the solo and cooperative play. So, and you must have the Sorcerer base set to combine with this to play.
And how much is the box?
$60.
Okay. Awesome.
I was so close to getting this, just because they had because I was thinking, like, I really want to play like a card game that's like competitive, but also with a little bit of story elements in it. I was looking at like Hero Realms and that sort of thing, and they had a deal going where it was like, you heard him say it was like $60, but like they had a deal where it was like $70, and you got both boxes, which are both that size right there. ultimately, I ended up picking up old favorite Ashes over here. So if you look, if you probably can't see it behind me, but I have the new Ashes Reborn core set back there. Like I have the original, but I need the conversion set, and they were sold out. And there's a new box called Red Rains that is they now have solo and competitive for Ashes. But they were doing a special where it was only like $60 for the new core set and the Red Rains box, and like it would be $70 to add up if I went on their website to get the sold out conversion box and the new Red Rains box. And I'm like, well, for that, I might as well just buy the master set again.
Yeah.
So, so I was almost tempted by that. Then he's going to talk about Star Realms Academy. This is basically a kid version of Star Realms. So if you've ever played Star Realms, it's like it's a single deck kind of, but it can be expanded. But deck building game where you're kind of building up your deck. Think like Ascension or any of those other kinds of games, Clank, where you start with a basic deck and then build up to a more powerful deck. This is a little bit slimmed down version for kids.
All right, whenever you're ready.
All right, so this is Star Realms Academy. It's it's kids or casual players version of Star Realms. If you know regular Star Realms, it's very easy to pick up. In Star Realms Academy, you have 15 authority, and you can't go above 15. And your authority is tracked with these little health icons that go on your board. You have a 6-card starting deck with 5 scouts and a viper, and each turn you're going to be playing 3 cards. One of the big differences in Star Realms Academy is when you play a card that gives you trade, you grab a coin and you put it onto your board, and that will stay there forever until you spend it, so you can save up over multiple turns to buy bigger things. So you play your cards that give you trade. When you play a card that gives you combat, you use that to attack your opponent and take away their authority. One of the nice things about this is kids can play it and they don't need to know the math. So for example, let's say a kid played this card, they get 3 combat. They don't need to know that 14 minus 3 is 11. All they need to be able to do is count to 3 and pull away 1, 2, 3 of these, and then and they know that they're trying to get rid of all these. So the cards have no words on them. It's all icons. So this icon means draw a card. This one gives you combat. This one adds to your health, and the trade gives you the coins that you can spend to buy new cards. All the numbers are smaller, so the most expensive cards in the market will cost 5, and the numbers on the cards will be 1, 2, or 3. So if a card's going to be generating a lot of combat, it's giving you 3 combat. All bases have black shields and work like outposts in the regular Star Realms. When you have a base out, I'm not going to be able to hit your authority until I take out the base. And damage is permanent in this. So if I say I play a Viper and I get 1 combat, I put a little damage marker on your base. That's going to stay there turn after turn. If later on I do another point of damage, I can add it to there. And as soon as this is equal to that, then the base goes to your discard pile. So another nice factor about this for kids playing it is the card, you can fully do a card as soon as you play it. So for example, if I were to play this trade escort, I get 2 combat, I can place 1, 2 of these, and we know that that base will then go away, and then I would grab 1, 2 authority and put them over here. You don't keep combat in your pool or trade in your pool like you do in the regular Star Realms game. So it's a nice, easy game in that as you play cards, you're going to be resolving the effects they do. And we've got tons and tons of gorgeous and adorable artwork in the game.
Awesome. And how much does this go for?
$29.99.
Oh, that's really good. And I'm assuming everything, the board and everything comes with it as well.
Everything comes with it. All the tokens, the individual player boards, all the market deck cards, all that comes in the box.
Awesome.
I think that's the last video, so I'll try and speed through the rest of these since we're already at 2 hours. But just showing off, there's the Hero Realms decks there. I saw there was a bunch of creators there. This was from Elderwood Academy. They had so they have these books that are like, I think I have some other pictures. Yeah, they have that have like, they're kind of their version of the folios where you have like, oh, here's a storage thing for dice, and here's a dice tray, and then storage for other stuff. And then the biggest book is this. It unfolds into a DM screen.
Oh, nice.
So it's got like magnets for like holding up your stuff. You know, you got the felt here. I think that I guess probably just to protect everything that these trays slide into. There's slots up here for initiative orders, and just a bunch of other cool gadgets and stuff. There's Upper Deck had the big, huge, like the Neopets booth. I was trying to group photos together, but I missed that one. This is the space version of the Freelancers game that we played from Plaid Hat.
Okay.
The newest one, Wandering Galaxy. This is Steam 4 Games picked up War Machine, and they relaunched it, so it has like this really cool app thing now, and just a lot of stuff out for that game. So if you're a fan of War Machine, you'll like that. They also have their Monster Hunter World game out for display. This Lethal Shadows company, they had a bunch of really cool minis on display. There's more Rumble Slam, like the different stuff that's available in that game. Eldritch Foundry. So we've used them in the past. Those are the people that made the minis that we used in our D&D game. They had a special cool thing where they had, I don't know if it was in a hotel room or in like a storage unit somewhere, 3D printers printing. So you could go to their booth, use their software, buy a mini, and then the next day come pick it up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that was really cool. But they were also showing off, they now do color printing, and I have to find their specific ones. Okay, this is the one.
Ooh.
They now do, so you can paint. This was not on sale, or this was not on sale there. This is they want to do a Kickstarter to fund.
Okay.
But I want to get these guys on here as well. But yeah, so you can paint the mini in the software, and when it prints with the color in it. I was asking them how
awesome.
I still don't fully understand it, but it's basically like it's a large machine, and like when the resin it introduces droplets of color into the resin as it cures layer by layer.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they had some other. The rest of these are minis just using Eldritch Foundry that somebody else painted. There was just these were the color ones. Yeah, here's some more of the. I mean, you can tell like the difference between like a professional painted where you've got clear lines and details and everything. But like if you're someone that can't paint, like that's pretty damn good. To just have that get sent to you and you can just start using it right out of the box. Yes, oh no, Hero Forge has been printing colors for years. I didn't know this for years, but I know they have started printing in color. Fallout has a Factions new game, so this is a skirmish style game from Modiphius. Really cool kind of setup around Nuka World. So one beg box for that. They also had a Lower Decks Buffer Time, the card game. A lot of game tables I saw at Gen Con. So like Game Theory, and there was another a couple other different games. Gloomhaven had these like deluxe gaming accessories from LaserOx that you could use to like set up all your different cards and tokens and such. And then like a modular dashboard for Gloomhaven to kind of keep everything together. Then there was people that had like wooden puzzles that like would fit together. Think like those like games where it's like, how do you get this thing back into the right box? The ball bearings and stuff, or the metal things. Lots of those. Oh, this was the Colossal Cat in the Box.
Okay.
So it was really funny. I went by Roxley Games. They had the game Dice Throne. and they were one of the newer items they had is they've had Marvel dice thrown for a while, and they had a Deadpool dice pool or Deadpool dice thrown, and a Deadpool cosplayer came up and they asked him to like show off the game, and he was totally like gabbing it up where he'd be like covering his mouth and like doing weird like Deadpool poses with the thing. Not only that, but the costume is amazing. Like look at the detail on this costume. Really cool. And that was just like, he just walked up to the booth and they're like, oh my God, that costume's so great. Here, will you pose with our product? Card Hala, of course.
Oh, of course.
Oh, here's I got to see the D&D box dice from Beetle and Grimm. So don't be surprised, Philip, if you get this orange one. From White Plume Mountain. So one of the last big things I did is I got to go to the Faster Purple Worm Kill show.
Okay.
So this was done by like Matthew Lillard and the Beetle and Grimm folks. It was really cool. They had
I'm not even gonna lie. So like, I recognized him by his silhouette. Even if you hadn't said his name, and you're like, hang on, that's Matthew Lillard, isn't it?
Yeah. Trying to see yeah. So they had like Matthew Lillard. Becca Scott, if you've seen some of her videos online, she was in this game. Ross Bryant, he's been on like Dropout stuff, so like things like Make Some Noise. I've seen him a lot on. But he also has done some Dimension 20 work, I think, also. And then I think Glass Cannon Network is who these last two are from, who do a lot of actual plays. But they were all doing this, like, you know, level 1 creatures, everyone dies at the end, which was really funny because, like, they had to fight off a mob from Tiamat, and they were all playing like level 1 paladin, dragonborn creatures, so they were all Bahamut. And the whole course of the game is they're trying to do these different tasks to summon Bahamut to like defeat these Tiamat cultists, and like they had like dragons and stuff with them. And one of the ones is like they had to sing a song, and like, you know, just a cappella. Ross here is just singing this like psalm that you could tell it was made up. Like he wrote it down in advance because like it was reading off something, but the performance was just done real well on it. And then like Bahamut shows up and like puts a hole through this dragon, and like everyone cheers because they're like, oh my God, we survived, except for Matthew Lillard's character died jumping in front of like a beam that was going to kill his quote brother in the game. So everybody else survived, and then like he lived because like he died, everybody else lived, and they're like, oh my God, this is the first time ever on this show that like we've lived through the adventure. We killed the red dragon, and then like their hopes get dashed as this elder dragon flies in and then lands and then just swats and kills them all.
Oh, wow.
But it was like this ultimate, like a heart-sinking moment. It was really fun. So I talked about the ashes. They got the Red Rains thing. I painted a Space Marine. So this was done in like 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
Because like Chris Nickel and I were just like, it's Sunday. We just finished up a game. We played Warhammer Wrath and Glory, and that game was pretty fun. But it was one of those things where like we were pretty sure the GM may not have fully understood all the rules, kind of thing.
Okay.
And so we had Warhammer on the brain, and then Games Workshop had a bunch of speed painting tutorial stuff. And so I picked up a Space Marine, and it was funny because I got an Infernus Marine first, and I was like, I have 20 of these. Can I get one of the regular Intercessors? I was like, I need those. I was like, I could use this. So I painted it up, and I was pretty proud for what I was able to do with like a handful of random paints, some really old brushes that had been through the works, and then like just like 45 minutes. It actually gave me an idea, like I want to replicate that, where it's like a painting tournament where you only get like a couple of paints, really crappy brushes, like you can't bring like all your fancy tools and stuff. It's like, what can you do with a short time frame and very broad kind of like paints?
Yeah.
Like you don't get to bring like you get like one wash and then like not a whole bunch of other stuff. So and then the last game we played is we played a 5e game. Just This was that GUI cube that does like the Gensicon. This was one of their scenarios, and it was like a railroad scenario, but it was only a 2-hour game slot, so like you get what you get. But it also meant I got to fully try out my folio because we were actually playing 5e now. But it was also cool because they had some custom characters in here because it was their version of 5e. So they had some like add-on characters, like a spell weaver and stuff like spell dancer, I think is what it's called. Hey, other Phil's in the chat. You just missed me. You just missed me talking about my Space Marine. Like I painted those eyes with no magnifying glass, just me eyeballing it with the tip of the brush, like trying to like dot and like fleck the thing. I was so proud of that. There's another shot of the folio. I also did get some dispelled dice because I needed 2 d20s for like advantage, and you can't buy single d20s from dispelled dice. But they had this year a special Gen Con set that gave you 3 d20s for like $40. So I was like, done. There's the complete assortment of stuff. So that's what the folio looks like, all closed up.
Oh, nice.
And then the other thing in that GUI cube game, he just had like a bag of kazoos. And he's like, I just wanted something to hand out to my players. And so he just went on Amazon and bought like a bag of kazoos. And so like now anytime somebody rolled like a crit fail or a crit hit, we would just start blaring on the kazoos. Or it's like, burr, 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 or like, burr, 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 kind of stuff. It was funny. I like the dispelled dice where it's like, I will not eat the dice. It's really cool because this one's a liquid core one, so it's kind of cool to see that roll and stuff spinning around on the inside.
Oh, nice. Does it affect the?
No,
it does, okay.
You can tell the way it is like here's resin, and then there's like a clear core that's got like something liquid in it that got set in the resin, so it's completely separate from the other stuff. This die is really cool because it's got hidden Gen Con logos all over it.
Oh, nice.
And then this die, it's kind of funny because the colors remind me of those autism awareness signs, but like just the colors that match up. But it's got a bunch of like game pieces and puzzle pieces and stuff in there. It's also what made me think of the autism thing. All the ashes stuff. Oh, there's like a flesh and blood deck I got that was randomly. Okay, so I came back. So we remember this is the last thing. Almost done here, guys. We at the end of Gen Con, so it's Sunday. We're all exhausted. Chris Nickel had done like, hey, he had done his research of like places he wanted to go to try out. And he's like, I found this German place we should go. It's called the Rathskeller. Really looked German. Like they had the German theme down. We got the pretzels, which came with the spicy mustard, which I was thinking like spicy mustard, think like deli mustard with like a little bit of a kick kind of thing. No, this was like the full horseradish, and this time like all of us had it, and we were just like, ah. I got the
light your ass up.
They're Dutch angles because I wanted to try and like capture the whole thing without it being in portrait mode. That's why they're that. I didn't want to do like a portrait mode shot. I wanted to make sure it captured the door. Yeah, and that was the Gen Con trek. It's definitely got me a lot more excited than I already was about RPGs. In fact, I realized I don't have a good, like, I've been looking for a good DM screen that was, like, system agnostic that you could slip stuff in, and I didn't want to pay, like, tons of money. And I found out, like, I liked the Dragon Shields. The people that make the sleeves had ones, but they stopped carrying them, actually, and it's, like, only the ones on our site. But I found this on Amazon, and I had a credit from taking a survey. But like the outside is like this like faux, it's like that faux-ish kind of leather, and it's got D20s all in it. Like just like a bunch of repeating pattern of D20s.
Yeah.
And then when it opens out, it's stuck together, but it's got plastic sheeting that you can slide in pages of whatever system you're running.
Okay.
So you can customize it to, whatever you're going to use. So this is Gen Con adjacent. But I found this on Amazon. This was like $40. I was like, heck yeah, man. It's from Case Maddox. They do a bunch of like minis cases and stuff, but they just also had a DM screen in there too. So, yeah. And that was Gen Con. I'm not going to do bonus bits this week because we've already been talking for like over 2 hours.
For a little, yeah, we've been talking.
So, bonus episode bits for y'all, and we'll save. I have a Gen Con themed eBay game show, but I think next week we have someone from Cobalt Press, and it'll be fun to play that with them.
Oh yeah.
So I'm Philip. You got any questions about Gen Con that I may or may not have covered?
No.
Are you going to come next year?
Thank you. I have taken steps to pull my head out of my ass to be able to do things.
Yeah. And I touched the thing here as I was getting towards the button, so that's why my camera froze. There we go. Get this activated one last time. Although it was so late in the show, I probably could have managed without it. There we go. Oops. Okay. All right. With that, I'm going to hit this button here. Take it away, Philip.
And that's been our show. We want to thank you guys for hanging out with us on this extended Gen Con recap edition. If you like what you see, you got to check out boardsandswords.com/live. That's got the link to the streaming channel and the schedule. And boardsandswords.com in general just has all the stuff we've been doing. Chris puts a bunch of stuff on there. Check it out. Make him know that his effort on your behalf is not in vain.
All right, send us feedback. Was this entertaining at all? Was it boring and long? Let me know. Feedback at boardsandswords.com, Facebook at Boards and Swords Pod, and Twitter at Boards and Swords. If you can't remember all that, just boardsandswords.com for all the links. Check it out. We'll be back to support the show. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another show. Like I said, we're going to have, I believe we're having Wolfgang Bauer from Cobalt Press. They're the people that do their version of 5e, Tales of the Valiant. So I believe we'll have them on. I got a chance to talk to one of their guys at Gen Con, and there's a lot of really cool stuff in there. So that should be a good time. And in the meantime, remember that every gamer has a story, and may all your hits be crits. I told you, Holzer 40K, I'd sneak it in there. Whew. All right. Yeah. Rusted Beetle. There it is. Yeah, you didn't even give me a chance to say it. You spoiled the surprise, or you spoiled the ending. I got to figure out what's up with the camera. Like I said, because it stopped freezing up and making a bunch of weird noises when I had to actually cut on the AC. So I'm wondering if that's what it was.
Ah, that'll do it.
So, but yeah, that was Gen Con. I hope it was entertaining, at least for y'all, and it wasn't super boring just seeing me go through photos and stuff. It wasn't as structured as I had it last year with the different videos, but that's because I was a little bit more loosey-goosey with the videos this year at Gen Con, because I was trying to not drive myself ragged or run myself ragged. But if you got any comments, a lot of those photos you'll see out on socials over the next few weeks if you're watching at my socials, or if you got other questions, either comment them down below or Discord. I know most everybody in our chat right now is on our Boards and Swords Discord, so you can ask me about something specific if you want to, like, oh, I saw there was that photo that you guys talked about. Tell me more about that, and I can expand on it a little bit more. But I'm going to go eat some ice cream now. It's late. So, all right, Philip, I will talk to you later.
All righty.
I'm going to kill the stream here. Thanks, everybody.